Sometimes, the scariest stories don't come from the woods or from legends passed down over generations. They come from right next door, from a quiet house in a quiet neighborhood, where something monstrous was hiding behind closed doors. Tonight, I want to take you back to 1965, Houston, Texas. A holiday weekend, a missing couple, and a refrigerator filled with something that no one should ever see. This is the story of Charles Rogers, the man who murdered his parents, then vanished off the face of the earth. It was a Father's Day weekend, June 23rd, 1965. Temperatures were high in Houston, the kind of heat that sticks to your skin. Fred and Edwina Rogers, an elderly couple living in a monstrous neighborhood, hadn't been heard from in days. Their nephew had tried calling, no answers. He went by the house, still no response. The curtains drawn, the windows shut. It was out of character. Fred was known for sitting on the porch. Edwina would usually wave to the neighbors. Something felt off. Worried, the nephew contacted the police. 2 officers arrived at 1815 Driscoll Street. They knocked. Silence. They tried the door. It was unlocked. They stepped inside and immediately noticed something strange. The house was clean, almost too clean. The dining room table was set for dinner. Everything was in its place. But no one was home. Then, they noticed the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. Officer Charles Bullock opened the fridge. Inside were stacked packages of meat, wrapped in butcher paper, neatly organized. At first glance, it looked like someone had just stocked up for a cookout. But something didn't feel right. It wasn't the smell, though there was one, faint, metallic, almost sour. Bullock crouched down and opened the vegetable crisper drawer. Inside, 2 human heads stared back at him. Fred and Edwina Rogers. Their eyes wide open, their faces pale and stiff. Their bodies dissected, their limbs placed in the freezer and behind the meat packages. Their internal organs missing. Later, investigators would find them flushed down the toilet. The couple had one son, Charles Frederick Rogers. He lived in the house, or at least he had. A recluse, a shadow. Charles would enter and exit the house through the garage, usually before sunrise. He didn't speak to neighbors, didn't attend community events. He was so distant that many people didn't even know he lived there. Inside the house, police found Charles's bedroom, immaculate, cold, with no fingerprints, and no sign of Charles. He was gone, No car, no trail, no witnesses, nothing. And the back door locked from the inside. Let me tell you about Charles. Born in 1921, educated, intelligent, highly skilled. He had a degree in nuclear physics. Served in World War II as a Navy pilot. Later, he worked as a seismologist for Shell Oil. He was fluent in 7 languages, a master of radio technology, a ham radio operator. But in 1957, he suddenly quit his job. No notice, no explanation. After that, he withdrew from society, living in near complete isolation with his aging parents. Reports say Charles communicated with them through handwritten notes slipped under his door. He rarely left his room, rarely ate with them. Neighbors thought the house only had 2 people living in it. Police believed resentment had been simmering for years. But why did he snap? And how did he escape? The autopsy was grisly. Fred had been killed with a claw hammer, his head crushed, his eyes gouged out. Edwina had been beaten, then shot, execution style. Their bodies were drained of blood, then meticulously dismembered, bones sawed, organs removed. And it wasn't done in a panic. It was precise, clinical, as if rehearsed. Police believe the killings happened on June 20th, 3 days before the discovery. Whoever did it had time. Time to clean, time to escape. And based on the lack of fingerprints, this person knew what they were doing. No one ever found Charles Rogers. Despite a nationwide manhunt, not a single verified sighting ever emerged. It was like he ceased to exist. Some claimed he escaped to Mexico. Others said South America. A few whispered he had a fake identity prepared. Police theorized he exited through the attic, crawled to the garage, and slipped away in the early morning. But again, no one knows for sure. And here's the most bizarre part. Years later, when the house was demolished, something strange was found. Behind the walls, maps, diagrams, a tunnel leading to the attic. He had planned this for years. Here's where the story takes a darker turn. In the 1990s, writers Hugh and Martha Gardner published the Icebox Murders, a book that dove deep into the case. They believed Charles was a victim of lifelong abuse. They accused Fred of financial fraud, domestic violence, and manipulation. Claimed Edwina was complicit. Charles, they said, had had enough. But that's not all. The Gardners also put forward a wild but eerily plausible theory that Charles Rogers was involved in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Let that sink in. Some researchers believe Charles Rogers was recruited by the CIA during the Cold War. They point to his intelligence, military background, and fluency in multiple languages. He had access to foreign intelligence. He had skills in radio communication and surveillance. It's rumored he worked in New Orleans around the same time as Lee Harvey Oswald and David Fury. Some speculate Charles was one of the 3 tramps photographed at Dealey Plaza after JFK's assassination. He might have been involved in anti-Castro operations, and possibly in the cover-up of the assassination. Now, is this true? We may never know. But it's strange that a man with his background could vanish so cleanly, so completely. Charles Rogers was declared legally dead in 1975. But no remains have ever been found. No credit card usage, no bank records, no fingerprints, nothing. Just whispers. 1815 Driscoll Street was demolished in 1972. Today, it's a grassy lot, but neighbors say something still lingers. Some report hearing the hum of a fridge when passing by at night. Others say their radios pick up static and strange voices nearby. Is it paranoia? Or is Charles Rogers still watching? Still hiding? Behind another wall? Let me ask you this. Do you think Charles Rogers was just a disturbed man pushed to the edge? Or was he a trained assassin, carrying out a calculated plan, then vanishing into the shadows? Could you live a double life and erase yourself from the world? What was in his mind when he stared into the fridge, packing his parents like groceries? Was it madness or revenge? And most importantly, is Charles Rogers still out there? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Was Charles Rogers a genius killer, a government pawn, or something else entirely? If you like this story and want more chilling tales from the darkest corners of real life, like, subscribe, and share. This is the Draconian Universe. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and whatever you do, don't open the fridge.